Founders, no matter how you feel, every single day, you need to get up, dress up, and show up. Our guest created a fashion line for busy women, and she's here to share her side hustling startup stories with you. Oh my gosh, it's time for the Startup Life Show. Hello and welcome everyone to the Startup Life Show. I'm your host, Ande Lyons, coach to first-time founders. And after raising 4 businesses of my own, I now help newly minted founders sleep through the night by giving them peace of mind. That's right, because hey, a new business does not come with instructions. Oh, that it did, but it doesn't. I'm so grateful that you carved out time to tune in and up your founder game. We always learn from other founders. They come up with some great ideas that we never would have thought of, right? It's so exciting. And for those of you watching the replay, thank you for clicking on that subscribe button and the little bell icon. I'm so grateful to you. I am super excited to introduce you to today's guest. Let me tell you a little something about this fashionista female founder. Here she is. Oh, nope, let me try this one. Here we go with the right slide. Our guest, Melissa Lorenzo-Hervé. She's an attorney, editor, and founder of direct-to-consumer dress startup Pirouette NYC, which designs and manufactures day-to-night dresses for busy women who prefer to choose well instead of often. Oh boy, do I know that problem. Having admired her husband's English dress shirts for many years, Melissa set out to create an elevated version of the classic shirt dress, timeless in style and movement friendly. Enough for racing from the 7 train to the office. How much do we love that? Let's give a warm and wonderful welcome to today's guest, Melissa.
Hi, Ande. So good to be with you.
Yay! I'm going to get a soundtrack with clapping. Yeah, because, to feel like we're in front of a whole room would be so, so lovely. But thank you so much for joining me on the Startup Live Show. Where are you hailing from?
Thank you for having me. I'm based now in Marblehead, Massachusetts, not too far from you.
And I'm from Boston. And those tuning in, please let us know where you're hailing from. It's so much fun to see and imagine where you are on the map. And for us, like we're, as we would say here in Boston, we're neighbors, right? I always love to bring in that Boston accent. But what I also love about live stream events, Melissa, is that you and I know we've been out hustling, saying hello to everybody in person for years. We love that, connecting and hugging in real life. But now the only way you're going to be able to network and share your business and carry your card around with you, i.e. your LinkedIn URL, is through a live event like this. So tag someone you know, bring them on into the conversation, share your business. I'll put it right up here on the screen and let everybody know what you're doing in the world, how to find your business. And how have you been networking, Melissa, during this time of COVID?
Actually, surprisingly, through Twitter a lot more and through Instagram also a lot more. It's been really cool how you're just able to find your tribe, of course, but just other people who aren't on your radar. Maybe they're connected to you through someone else. And that's how I've been able to meet new people interested in the line, new people interested in just what I'm doing, new people trying to learn how does a mom who's also a full-time editor run a side hustle. It's just been through social media mostly.
That's right. And you are really, really good at that. So folks, you must connect with Melissa on Twitter. I'll throw her because this is your Instagram right there, but I think it's just without the underscore, and you're going to connect with her on Twitter. She's so engaging. It's how we met, even though we're neighbors right here in Boston. And hey, style with Nehan, San Diego, come on. I can only imagine the weather you're having today, given it's rainy and cloudy and cold and here in Boston. Yay. Thanks for showing up and sharing where you're hailing from. So, Melissa, you brought it up. Mother of two, working full time. Oh my gosh. Oh, quick hello to thank you, Ted. It's so great to see you. I know you've got some great weather there in Phoenix as well. Yay. Um, Mother of two, working full time. It's COVID. So it's not like you can have, the usual help coming in and taking care of everything. How is it that you, as a mom working full time, decided, oh my gosh, I see a problem in the world. I need to solve it. And here's how I'm going to solve it. Please share with everyone your startup story.
Thanks. I was working full time in New York at that moment in my life. I was commuting back and forth from Hoboken into Manhattan, like thousands of people do actually. And I had my little girl with me 5 days a week. And I would see at work how many women waste time getting ready to go out after work. We spend way too much time getting ready to go to work. And then we have to change our outfits when we have an after work event, or some women had a date, or some women had drinks, or some women had to get together with their team. And it was just a bit of anger at the injustice of how women are sold to, we're brainwashed into just absorbing this mindset that you have to have different outfits for different parts of your life. And I saw that men were never dealing with that. They'd take off their tie or their jacket or whatever they wore to work was just fine to wear after work to drinks or someone's going away party. So it was really just getting upset at that unfairness that I would see every day, and wanting to save women time, and wanting to give something that was really nice looking and helping women feel fabulous while helping them save time, because we're all living with this built-in time deficit. And so I wanted to solve that through fashion.
And you do, and you solve another really important problem, which is that sometimes we have too many choices, and sometimes that combination, now, of course, that's where my creativity will come in. I've got bringing the accessories and doing fun things, but what you do is you are also cutting down on the time it takes to make the decision, because you have some very easy pieces. And that's another really important problem that you're solving. What's a typical outfit that you would see women wearing to work that didn't transition to a post-work?
For example, if they had a client demo, if they had a board meeting, if they had a presentation that day, they were usually in a suit, either a pantsuit or a more traditional skirt suit. And in more casual places, they were maybe in jeans and a sweater, or jeans and a really casual top. Either way, they were either too formal or too underdressed to go out somewhere nice after work. And so I just wanted to find something that women could wear to work, even if they're at a bank, even if they're at a law firm, a very traditional place, or if they're at a more modern place, like maybe a media company, and still feel comfortable going out after work. So giving them a canvas that wasn't based on a certain trend, that wasn't based on a fad, that they would want to still wear next year and the year after, because it was this classic piece, and that they could wear that often because it was so well made. It was made from this amazing Italian cotton or this amazing Japanese techie stretch fabric, that it wouldn't lose its stretch, it wouldn't lose its memory, it would hug you in the right places, it would be really flattering, so you would want to wear it over and over in different ways.
Right. And so too, everybody, you've seen it in the political arena when Hillary was campaigning. I mean,
right.
Kamala has figured it out. She's using argent clothes and things like that. But, the guy would just take off his suit coat and roll up his sleeves. Totally acceptable.
Right.
But a woman, no, she still has to have a certain polished look. She can have the jammin' sneakers like Kamala has, but, you still have to have a certain presence, a certain level of authority, yet playfulness. And I think the other thing that you brought up too, Melissa, is the fact that you don't look like a wrinkled mess at the end of the day.
Right, exactly. You want wrinkle resistant fabrics that don't look like they were advertised wrinkle resistant. They don't look like they're made from this fiber rich material, right? You want them to feel nice, and you want them to be soft to the touch.
Yeah, I love that. Okay, so it's one thing to say, I'm going to go solve this problem. I'm going to dive into the clothing industry. Did you have any background in fashion and manufacturing? And No.
None. My background was watching my grandmother make me my Halloween costumes, hem my school uniform, visiting tailors all the time because I'm so petite that I would buy a dress and have to take it straight to the tailors to take in. Sometimes they actually had to take it apart and reassemble it to my size. So I learned a lot that way, but nothing in terms of the supply chain and importing fabric and marketing and manufacturing. It was a very steep learning curve.
Well, okay. And again, mom of two, and
Yeah.
these are not couch potato kids. Nothing wrong with couch
Oh,
potato
no.
kids. No, tell everybody your daughter.
Yeah, my daughter and my son, they're both supremely active. They've always been the kind of kids who wish there was one more day in the week. You know, they wish there was an 8-day week so they could fill it all in and do everything they want to do. My daughter's a ballet dancer and my son plays on 2 soccer teams and they're both really active. He's also now on the local baseball team and they're both really academic. They love reading. I'm always in the library, or I used to be, switching books in and out. Now I order them online, but they're just really active kids. And we've always lived in places where we don't have family nearby. So we've had to be pretty hands-on and just be really involved with them and keep up with them. So yeah, that was just one more challenge.
Yeah. And I'm thinking, okay, so you made this decision because I like to drill down into the details because you never know. Someone might be watching right now or later and they have this idea too, but they're sitting there scratching their heads. Where do I start? So
Right.
Share with folks, like, what was that first step? Like, did you first research the fabric and then figured out the pattern? I mean, where did it all start in that beautiful brain of yours?
Thank you. Well, for me, it all started, and I was in that same place you just described of not knowing where to start and then not starting anything because I thought I had to figure it all out before I could even take the first step. And it was always overwhelming to figure it all out, which is impossible. And so where I started was getting over that fear of failure. I think it's psychological. It doesn't feel maybe like something very actionable because you can't write it down or email it, but it's something that has to go on in your mind and take that leap of faith. And then that got me comfortable with telling people about my idea, which was crucial because then those people connected me to other people who were in the fashion industry for years. Those people who knew about manufacturing, about making a sample, about sourcing fabric, sourcing buttons. And it was just, someone told me, follow the breadcrumbs. And that got me to the right people who could help me negotiate all these different prices with fabric mills in Europe and sample makers in the garment district. And so I did research fabric after I had the sketch. And that was also very time consuming. I was working on the east side, having to go during lunch to the west side and meet with those guys. And just little by little, I first researched the fabric, found someone to make a sample, found someone who could make the tech pack, found someone who could then make several dresses, and then someone who could help make a better sketch the next time. And it was just little by little, meeting more people who could help me, who had the right experience.
And folks, this is why people say your network is your net worth. So what Melissa did was she leveraged and she asked questions, and she had a big passion clearly in your heart, Melissa, that inspired you so that during lunch or during a break or on the train on the way home or the train on the way to work or while waiting to pick kids up at whatever activity they were at, you were pulling on threads. How much is this going to cost? What am I going to need here? Is that the look I want? How many times did it take for you to get those final looks that for a woman who is working and needs to transition from work to play in a meaningful way?
It took several times. I think I actually lost count because I even had friends try on the dresses, even though they weren't the right size. They would go into the bathroom. Maybe it was too big on them. Maybe it was way too small on them. So they couldn't actually exit the bathroom wearing it, but they would come out with feedback. They would say, actually, it needs pockets, or actually, this is how you should replace the buttons. This is how the hem should be. This is how long the sleeves should be. Everyone had really good feedback, and I would see patterns in some of that feedback. So in addition to having the fit models give me some feedback, which is really professional feedback, I had just regular women like me who are just working all day and dealing with kids, or maybe not dealing with kids, but dealing with a really busy career, dealing with their boss, dealing with having to jump in and out of cabs and subways. And that was invaluable to help perfect the design and also the choice of fabrics.
And as you continue to build this, you're working full time.
Yeah.
So, what was the timeline of for this to unfold? Months,
Well,
years?
yeah, no, it took, I want to say, I have to look back, but it might make me even a little sadder to look back and know how long it took, because I want everything to go really fast. I think it took about a year and a half or so, maybe almost 2 years, if you count from conception to actual launch, to when we had the first launch party and we introduced the brand to all of our friends and had a party in New York that was also part trunk show. So people were celebrating and partying over here, and people were over here trying on dresses and looking in the mirror. And then we had a friend running the credit cards. And
Oh, that's great.
yeah, that
Oh,
was, yeah. And then the next day we did something just like that in New Jersey. And then the day after that, we did something just like that in Connecticut. So it's just 3 days back-to-back trunk shows and collecting feedback and seeing how much people, even people who we didn't know, but were friends of friends, were buying the dress. And sometimes they were buying the same dress in 2 colors. So we knew it wasn't even like a sympathy purchase, like, okay, you're my friend, I'll support your new company. It was really, oh, I need this because I work at JP and this is what we need, or this is perfect for when I have meetings, I work at a hedge fund. And so we knew that we were on the right path, and we could help that type of woman that we related to.
And I love your point about it not being a sympathy purchase. Anybody who's had a product, you know that you wonder sometimes.
When your cousin buys it, you're like, great, but I don't know if that proves anything.
I also really love your willingness to do this great focus group between your friends and then your trunk shows, because founders, your customers are going to give you the feedback you need to succeed. Right, Melissa?
Oh, yeah. Especially when they want it and they can't have it for whatever reason. Some women would complain, well, if you'd only made us up to a size 18, then I could buy this. Or if you had only made this a little bit longer, then I could buy this. So they're giving you that feedback that is really valuable for you to think about your next runs and how to perfect your product or your service, whatever it is you're offering.
That is terrific advice. And, women working women even is a really broad group of people, a marketplace. Yeah. Great if, you're going to scale and you want that big, gigantic market to go after. That's your total addressable market. But, niching down for launching, who were you headed for initially as your customer segment?
We were originally thinking about, and I say we because this took a village, and I had a half business partner at the beginning. We were really looking at the woman who doesn't have much time to shop, and shop in a way that tells you right away whether it fits or not. She's shopping online. She's even doing her groceries online. What little time she has after work, she's dedicating to her family, or to her hobbies, or to working out. She has other things to do that she loves outside of her career. And that doesn't allow much time for just trying on a bunch of clothes and sending them back if they don't fit. So she needs to find something that works and that she can wear multiple ways. Maybe she's wearing it to her daughter's after school concert. Maybe she's wearing it to a date night, but she wants that go-to piece that she can just reach for and rely on over and over.
Great. So this brings me to, of course, one of my favorite segments of the show, everybody. It's Prove That Value Proposition. Yay! So, this is what happened with Melissa. She had an idea, a hypothesis, and she spent a lot of time working on this hypothesis that women were going to want this English-styled shirt dress made of this certain type of fabric to help them transition from work to a more casual environment, and something that saved them time. But she still had to prove that in the marketplace, right? That's proving your value proposition. And that's where we learn even more about how we're serving our customers and if they really want what we think they want. Right. And even after all those focus groups who said, can I have a pocket here? And it doesn't mean that they're going to go run out and buy a whole bunch. Right. They may have been happy to give that feedback, and they may have said, yes, I'm going to buy. But sometimes it can be crickets. So this is why we have to stay really open as founders to understanding how our business will evolve. We might think we've got a customer segment over here, and all of a sudden this customer segment over here is clamoring for our product.
That didn't happen. I did think it would be a younger segment, to double down on your earlier question. I thought that the age group I was targeting was maybe 20s, 30s, some 40s. But when I see who's purchased and who's made repeat purchases and who's asked for the same dress in another color or in more sizes, it's been older women based on that initial demographic. The women who are in their 40s and their 50s, some even in their 60s, because they've tried everything. They've become really familiar with a lot of brands. They're not out there to experiment, or they're not interested in fast fashion. They know that the quality of fast fashion isn't flattering on our shapes, and they maybe want to spend their disposable income in a more thought out way. They're interested in sustainability. And so that was something I learned right away. Okay, I shouldn't target or advertise too much to the 20 somethings who are fresh out of college. And I thought maybe they wanted our dresses to interview in, or to start their new jobs in, or the new JDs. It's really the women who have a lot of choice and want to choose wisely.
And they're past that stage of having to be trendy, being sold at H&M versus, these other brands that they could be going toward. And instead they just want something that is timeless.
Right.
That is going to float. They might get a, jazzy new coat. They might change the accessories on it, but it's something that's going to look great years later. Right. And it's something they're comfortable in as their body changes. I mean, women as we age, it's not always being able to keep everything nipped in and tight.
Well, it redistributes is what I find. You can have the same weight for 10 years, but it looks dramatically different a few years in.
Oh, so I'm so glad. And how did you figure out the price that women were willing to pay as part of your value proposition?
That's something that's something just reminded me during the trunk shows, because we weren't really sure. We couldn't collect as much data as, for example, a VC funded company would have on that. And I didn't know as much about the messaging that's incorporated into the price. I just thought the price has to be a certain number more than what it costs to make. And it was all about math. And I thought, well, we should just test a few prices within this very narrow range. But because of the market that was most responsive, the demographic I was describing, where these women have choice, they're farther along in their careers, they know how to wear these pieces in more than a few ways, they weren't as price sensitive. Actually, they aren't as price sensitive as perhaps I assumed they would be. They were willing to pay more because they were going to get the only one left in that color, in that size. They were willing to pay more because they knew it was made in New York City's garment district, and they were going to walk into a room or into a theater or into a restaurant where no one else had that dress. And I made sure to tell them whenever I send something out, I'll say, you're the only person with this dress in the whole state of Texas. And I didn't know, and I'm still not 100% sure, but at the moment when I first launched and for a year in, I just didn't know how to communicate that part of the value of the dress, of this specific dress or this specific shirt, into the price. And so it took some testing. It took some going up and going down and seeing how far we could go and seeing how much advertising costs, what are the marketing fees going to be once we start promoting this on social. And so I don't know that we've hit the sweet spot. I just know that I'm not getting any pushback from the women who end up buying our dress. If anything, the complaint is, why don't you also have it in this color in my size?
I have to tell you, Melissa just took us to school, everybody, on pricing. That was phenomenal, because there are a lot of things that go into a buying decision. And that's why we have to understand our customers and the customer journey and bringing them in. So yum, pure deliciousness on that.
Well, something occurred to me, was it yesterday, the day before, because I've been making masks from swatches of fabrics that I haven't been able to order because they're so expensive per yard. And I'll just DM someone and I'll, tell different people the price. And I always wonder, they might say it's too expensive for a mask, or they might say, well, can I buy one that's lower priced? And so far, not a single person has asked that. And it occurred to me, I need to let people pay what they want. I've never led with price. This isn't a brand that you would lead with price on. The fabrics are too well made and the pieces are too well constructed for this to be something that you would associate with a value buy in terms of price. It's a value buy in terms of how many times you're going to wear it. But it just, that line just popped into my head. Let people pay what they want. maybe for some people paying $40 for a mask is nothing when they know they're the only person in the world with that pattern. And we're going to be wearing masks well into next year. It's our new accessory when we walk out the door.
Well, since you're talking masks, would you please bring up one of
Sure.
yours?
Why not? Sure. I have one that, well, I have a few that match my dress actually. So I'll show you.
Look at this. Oh my gosh. How wonderful is that?
Yes. I have to make more of these actually, but I have several that don't match any of my dresses because I literally had maybe 13 inches of fabric and I was just able to make a few of these. Locally, a seamstress who works on bridal dresses locally, she made a bunch of these from just little pieces of fabric that I had that I thought I can't do anything with these other than make scrunchies, and that's off brand. So what if I made masks? Would people like masks? And yeah, people are eating them up. I can't ship them out fast enough. And they're not even on the website yet. All I've done is post on social.
Okay, go put you see Melissa's email address right there on scrolling by on the banner. Melissa, show everybody what you do differently, because I don't know about you guys, but that thing pulling on my ear, show them, see, what is that?
So I wrapped the elastics in black silk so they're a little bit comfier, and they also just, look nicer with this sort of pattern. And so it's at least a little dressier for when you're going out, because we are still going to restaurants, even if we're not going to work. So it's nice to be able to coordinate your look. Even if you're just wearing jeans, it's nice to have something that feels a little bit dressier than a paper mask that you see everywhere.
Oh, yeah, or the black mask that you see everywhere. I love that, something fierce. Hey, Allison, I agree 100%. Melissa is a great company and such a champion.
Thanks for joining us.
Allison
is amazing.
She is amazing. She's in the Capital Network's Female Founders cohort. And I have to say, wonderful. I'm so excited to be pitching at my monthly pitch event, Founders Live.
Oh, that's so good to hear. I didn't know that.
29th. But also, Allison, you're absolutely right. Melissa is a phenomenal advocate for female founders, introducing everybody to everybody. It's really a treat, and it's a special ingredient about you. Some awesome sauce. And a quick howdy to Taja. And Taja has a great website, Satin Kiss. Go check it out, everybody, because during this time, we've got to stay tuned in and turned on. And, that's an important part of keeping a relationship long term. And she just wanted me to be sure to tell you, awesome concept, Melissa.
Thank you.
So that's great. And folks, this is what networking is about. Now, folks, on the replay, we'll learn about Taja and about Allison. Allison, if you want to throw up your website, you've got a great website. So if you're still tuning in, put it into the comment threads and I'll put it up on the screen for everybody, because it's a wonderful new startup. So you have figured out a lot of things along the way. And because you're working, I'm sure there was some capital within, some cash flow within your world, but still you had to carve out a certain amount of capital. And so I have two questions. How are you funding your startup? And how was the conversation with your beloved? Do you have a partner with all of this? A husband, a spouse, a significant other?
Yes, I have all three of those in one person, thank God. So yes, bootstrapped from day one, hoping to get closer to the day where it's self-sustaining and I don't have to keep transferring from my personal checking to fund the company. There have only been a few times where I haven't done that, where I've had so many sales that particular month that I was able to cover all the costs that month and have a little left over. Usually because there was an event that month that drove a lot of traffic for new audiences that weren't on Pirouette's radar yet. But yeah, I've been self-funded from the beginning. I had a partner, full-time 50% partner for a while. We were colleagues. She scaled down to 10%. So she's like a silent partner now, very supportive, of course. And we're still great friends, but our lives changed. And it was just the right decision to make because I still wanted to go all in. I still want to dedicate 150% of everything I have to the company. I think of Pirouette as my third child. So I keep funding it with my day job. And yeah, it's been little conversations here and there with my husband. He's super supportive and he's super just encouraging of the idea. And he can only do so much in terms of actually contributing to the company outside of tax season. When it's tax season, he's really on top of every number and every W-2 or W-9. And I have to give him all the information. He's super helpful that way. I always said, oh, you'll be the CFO. Everything will be fine. But he has his own full-time job that takes up a lot of his time. So of course he can't be as involved as I would love for him to be, but he's been super supportive in the sense that he's never asked me to scale back or to think about hitting the pause button or it better take off this year, or you need to just shut it down. This can't continue being an expense. He's just always thought, oh yeah, whatever you're doing, do more of that. And not because if it makes you happy, but he just sees as a business, this should exist. And you just need to reach more of that woman who's already purchased. Wherever she lives, just try to get in front of her, because once they feel the dresses, once they see how they look when they're wearing them, you have a really loyal customer there.
That's right. Folks, I'm feeling an Ande-licious moment coming on. Got to tell ya. And here's the scoop based on what Melissa just shared about her co-founder. This is when you really want to make sure you have an attorney, and that is your operating agreement with any co-founders. You want to make sure there's a way and a pathway, and the rules of engagement are outlined ahead of time about how, if one of the co-founders needs to scale back, what does that look like? You've got to have that all ironed out with proper legal advice so that you can have, when that happens, it's not uncomfortable. And then the next thing you know, you're in a lawsuit, and the next thing, they have a huge piece of your business and they'll get it forever without making any effort. I don't care how much, best of friends, it doesn't matter.
Family. Yeah.
It doesn't matter. So I just wanted to share that Ande-licious moment with all of you and remind you that this is one of the most important aspects of when you're launching a business, is to make sure, if you have co-founders, everything is outlined, especially when you go to raise money, capital. That way your angels or the venture capital folks will not have any questions about ownership. Okay. Just wanted to throw that out to folks. I also want to say Allison came back, Melissa, with her business,
website.
Scroobius.
Yeah.
So go to scroobius.com because this is important. I'm just going to refresh my memory on Scroobius, if you don't mind, folks, if I can just go and see, because I just, I'm trying to remember. Do you remember? It's a search.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. It's basically a platform where underrepresented founders, I think, and other maybe founders in different groups can work with Allison to refine their pitch, to have a great deck, to do everything that, for example, you would advise founders to have ready and have captured in their pitch deck, so that when they're presenting to VCs or even angel investors, they have everything that those types of investors typically ask. But then on the other side of that platform that Allison has built, there are VCs and maybe other types of investors that want to see those founders and those early stage startups already pre-vetted. So since Allison already went through that whole fundraising stage at her previous company, she's able to make these matches and I think charge a subscription fee so that these VCs and angel investors, when they come onto Scroobius, they're not just meeting random people out there with maybe good ideas. They're meeting people who've already worked with Allison, who have their really refined pitch deck. They just have everything ready so that you're starting at a higher level. And so she's just amazing in that she's connecting these people.
I love that. And Allison, clearly you have a built-in brand ambassador right here.
Oh yeah. I was blown away when she described it. I haven't even really seen it yet, but she just described it to me. And I was just like, this is just going to be amazing. We'll take off right away.
Awesome.
She actually has a wait list. She has a wait list to get onto her platform as a founder.
That's awesome. Hey, Nihan, great question. How's the pandemic changed your business and marketing goals?
In a word,
masks. Great question, Nihan. Wonderful question. Share with folks how that transition happened. Because
it has changed it in two ways. The obvious way, like a lot of clothing companies, is I've made masks. The difference is that I've made masks from fabric that I already had. That's why a lot of them are one of a kind, because they're just little swatches I had from textile mills in France and in Italy. So I was able to have these made locally, whereas most companies are making them abroad and maybe not very high quality because they're just mass produced in these huge factories in Asia. These are all handmade locally by a seamstress. But also with the marketing, it's made me be a little more creative and more open-minded. I'm now talking to stylists. I haven't announced this before, Andy, but I mentioned I had a surprise. I'm going to be launching a brand ambassadorship program. So different stylists can work with Pirouette, learn more about the brand, and know how to advise their clients who they already have in Miami and Atlanta and New York, and then work with Pirouette on a commission basis so that they can prioritize Pirouette for their clients, but also so that they can be first when we have the monthly drop program where we'll have a sample, you can leave a deposit, and then we'll know how many to make for each size. So let's say 5 women want size 16, 10 women want size 8, no women want size 2. Then when I go into production, I know exactly what sizes to make. And these women who've already purchased from us or who work with these brand ambassadors, they have first dibs. They're not going to get on the website and see their size sold out in their favorite color because they were already part of the initial production run.
You were making my heart go pitter patter. I got to tell you, I have to fan myself. No, this is, leveraging partnerships in the business model canvas. This is key, is finding your strategic partnerships that are going to help you leverage the sales. But this makes me curious also. And thanks again, Ihan, for that great question.
Thank you, Ihan.
We have to constantly be finding ways to work with whatever outside forces change our business and our business models. So my next question is, you talk a lot about, the marketing and the fabric and all of this, but what is your lead time? Now, I have worked with fashion designers who are experienced, who use Chinese manufacturing, who, have to wait for the boat, to come with the delivery, have to understand when there's that month off to celebrate the new year. And so they can't get any orders. And how are you handling manufacturing? And how long does it take an order to turn around based on the fact that you're headed into production for an order?
It really depends on who I'm working with and how many dresses I'm putting into production. So I've worked with very small factories where I'll say, I'm only going to make so many dresses, let's say fewer than 10. And they'll say, okay, I can turn them around in 2 weeks, even though there's several sizes within those 10. If it's the same size and I'm making several of the same size, then it's even quicker because they're cutting and sewing pretty much back to back, and there's not much time wasted switching out the markers and switching out the different size fabrics for the different pieces. But when I've had big orders, the other problem is you don't always know if the cutter and the sewer or the manufacturer is going to stick to the lead time that they promised you. And sure, you can have a great contract and you can have everything written out and signed, but at the end of the day, what's your leverage? They have all your fabric, all your buttons, and you have nothing but a piece of paper that says that if they're late, you can sue them. Sue them for what? They don't own the factory they're in. They're renting it from someone else. They own maybe a few sewing machines and they have a few employees. So it's very hard to say this is my lead time because it's always changed according to who I've worked with. And so one time my lead time was 2 weeks and one time my lead time was 6 weeks. Now I know who tends to stick to their lead times and what to do to make it a little bit quicker. But normally it's going to depend on how many sizes I'm asking them to make and how many dresses, because our dresses aren't complicated. It's just that I'm working with people who are sticklers for detail and perfectionists like me. So when they say 4 weeks, they really mean it.
Yeah, for that order. And so it's almost like on demand, right? You get the orders in, people are going to be looking for these sizes, these dresses, and these materials. So you're going to put in it, because I bring this up, inventory control founders. Oh my gosh, it's a headache. It's a headache. And so when you go to scale, bring in the experts, people who understand inventory management for your category, whatever it is, whether it's food or fashion. Make sure you're working with folks who understand, or you go to school yourself on it and truly learn how to manage this really important piece because it's all about your customer acquisition costs at the end of the day.
Well, exactly. And then with the returns, because you're promising shipping back and forth, and then you'll see people, this happened to me several times, they'll just order the same dress in 2 sizes. And you know what they're doing? They're just trying it out at home and shipping one back. So you know that you're already getting one back, but you still have to technically reduce it on the inventory. It's not going to show up online. Maybe someone else wanted that dress. So it's just a headache to deal with.
It's a rumba. It's a salsa. It's a solid number. Oh my gosh. And another thing we really want to dive into, I guess, are some of the insights that you've had as not only a female founder, but a Latina female founder.
And I was thinking about that this morning in the shower because I've met now a few more Latina designers and women who are Latinas and not in fashion. They're just founders, maybe founders of law firms or founders of other companies. And the first thing that came to mind is how often we're not taken seriously, whether we're born here or we're immigrants or the children of immigrants. I don't know what it is, but when we say, this is the experience that we talk about, when we say we're doing something or we're launching something, I don't know why it's just not taken as seriously as when, I don't know, some regular, fifth generation American white guy says that he's starting his software company or he's starting his weed delivery app. I don't know what it is. It's just, we have to do extra to prove ourselves, and we have to talk it up and reach out and have a good amount of revenue to show before we can even think about talking to angels. Whereas so many other people, if they're not Latinos, they just, or if they're, let's say, regular white guys, I don't know how else to call them, they're pre-revenue. They just have a piece of paper and a wireframe, and they're able to have this level of confidence and talk to VCs and get that attention and get angel investor attention, maybe because they sound alike and people are automatically pattern matching in their mind. And if someone looks and sounds like you, then I want to hear your idea. But if you don't look and sound like me, then I'm a little bit skeptical. So you've got to convince me.
Yeah, it's the unconscious bias.
That's maybe what it is. Okay.
Unconscious bias toward women. And then thanks to advertising and TV and movies, they're also putting you into a category of what, making tortillas,
I guess that's what it is, right? Because I don't think, even though I have a JD from an Ivy League and went to great, undergrad, I don't think that, and speak 3 languages, I don't think that I would have any trouble walking up to anyone in a hotel and telling them that I was the maid. I don't think I would have to convince them. They would say, oh, okay, can I have extra towels? I mean, I've been mistaken for the delivery person during lunch at my own firm. So there's, like you said, there are certain categories where if you say you're that, then it's fine and no one's going to double click or try to figure it out. But then if you say you're this other thing, they're like, wait, but how? But wait. And then they need to see proof, and they need to check your LinkedIn, and they need to see how you're connected. And so it's like we have these little obstacles that we're fine with clearing. We'll get through them, but it's not like we don't notice, and we talk to each other and we hear this happened to this person and this person and this person. So why did she have to knock on 10 doors, but he only had to knock on 1?
Maria Luna, bravo. You understand. Shark Tank, amazing app that she created with her husband. Phenomenal. Or Peachbox Co., right? You know what I'm talking about. And Coco Verde Vegan. You also know what I'm talking about. So it makes it harder to scale, and the numbers are not in your favor.
Right.
So you have to do extra hustle. And, the whole, white fragility basically is what causes this filter, because it's not in the daily white person's brain pan of, mirrored folks doing what you're doing. So I am sorry that you had this extra burden. And those of us who can are here to help lift you up and make those connections.
Getting better.
Yeah, and you're not looking for a handout. You're looking for, hey, introduce me here or take me over here and help me understand.
Yeah, I just think it should be acknowledged. And like you said, we're doing this extra work. And by the time we get there, like by the time we speak with an angel or a VC, or even speak with you or anyone who's going to help us spread the word about our brand, understand that we actually already did a ton of extra work, because we didn't grow up knowing what VC meant or angel meant. A lot of us, we didn't grow up with that vocabulary or knowing people who were comfortable with fundraising, right? You mentioned Latina. It's actually very taboo to ask anyone for money. So just to feel comfortable doing that in a corporate setting, it really takes some work up here because we just don't have any sort of comfort level with that. That's something you do when maybe you first arrived to this country for a little bit, but it's just not something that we know is okay to do.
Right. That is so huge. And on Friday, October 16th, Oliver Sanchez is joining me here.
Oh, great.
And Oliver lifts up, Latinx, LATAM, Latin American tech companies, helps them get into the US, helps them scale globally. We're going to learn a lot from him because even as a male, he has had the biases, especially in Boston, which is, he's a beloved local angel investor and tech founder here in Boston. I'm looking forward to hearing what he has to say about that, Melissa. But, you add that to the fact that you're doing, your special dance of taking care of the kids during COVID and, a meaningful relationship with your husband. Any advice to the other mamas out there, which, by the way, mamas, mine are grown into their early 20s. I don't know where I would be if this happened 10 years ago. I do not, you all need extra money. You need awards. You need, everybody just used to send you all on vacation, take care of the kids. This is an extraordinary time and really, really hard to do. Do you have any advice for other moms?
I'm also lucky that mine aren't younger. I think the younger they are, the harder time a lot of moms, a lot of parents are having. Mine are in school full day, 5 days a week. So that's also great. I think what's really helped me is letting them help more, letting them feel more independent. So things that I can do for them more quickly, I'll ask them to do, even if it's not going to turn out perfectly right the first time, letting them just start washing their masks every day, right? I can do that really quickly and hang them up and do all that, but they're wearing them and they need to feel some sort of autonomy. And so now I've just instituted a new thing. You walk in the house, you wash your hands, you wash your mask, you hang it up. If there are other masks next to the sink, you wash those as well. So little things like that. The other night, my son made dinner. Okay, it was mac and cheese, but that's what he wanted. So technically he made dinner. Little things that I know they can do without burning the house down, I'll just allow them to do it. Whereas pre-pandemic, I wasn't actively searching for ways that they could help me and shave minutes off my day so that I could dedicate to Pirouette or to my full-time job.
Right. And I have to tell you, mamas especially, that having your kids chip in while you are role modeling, having a passion other than them. I mean, the kids know they are number one in your life, no matter what. But you need to show them too, it's that reciprocity that you have a life, that you're building a business, that you have something that you're passionate about. It actually takes the burden off of them. And you're teaching them really important life skills along the way, which is, this whole contributing, no time for helicopter parenting now.
No, and as they get older, we need to just find new things that they can do that they weren't doing before and that they just need to learn how to do anyway.
That's right. That's such great advice. This is still, a side hustle for you.
Yes.
But you are a founder and you are going through what all founders go through, which is uncertainty, yet, tapping into your tenacity and your persistence. When you've been lying awake at night going, oh my gosh, what have I gotten myself into? What advice can you share with folks? I call this the founder journey advice, everybody. Every founder has one, and we can learn from each other in this moment with the founder journey. What have you used to help keep yourself motivated, looking forward, taking those next steps, even when it's really, really hard?
So for the motivation, because I do have a lot of those moments that you described where, oh, should I keep doing this? Or is it ever going to really take off and properly scale and become profitable every month? What I have seen helps me is remembering all those different moments where I saw for the first time a woman wearing a pirouette dress as she looked in the mirror and she saw how amazing she looked. And maybe she didn't even want to try it on initially, but once she saw herself She fell in love. She felt great. She felt confident, regardless of her size, regardless of whether she was dieting or not, regardless of where she was in life. She just felt so confident and beautiful. And every time I think of a few of those moments through trunk shows or even here at home, some women have tried on dresses. I've always thought, the next one, I need to give that feeling to the next one. We would be so much more powerful if we had this armor that made us feel that way. And I feel really lucky that I've come up with designs, not tons of designs, but a few really good designs that should be repeated in different colors and different patterns because they're so flattering on so many shapes.
That's your why, and that will get any founder out of any funk that they might naturally and normally be experiencing. Remember that, folks. So a month ago, I had a phenomenal guest on, Whitney A. White, right?
Yes.
Must do a shout out to this amazing woman.
Yes.
Tell everybody, how because again, folks, one of the hardest things you can do as a founder is a time audit. And it's one of the most important and profound things you can do for your day. I mean, my stomach hurts just thinking about it. Having done it myself, it was so hard, but you have to take back time. And I love that you have learned a lot about this for yourself. Would you share just a few little nuggets?
So actually, everyone should know I found out about Whitney White through Ande, and I caught your show midway, maybe while I was working out or cleaning the bathroom or something. But I thought I need to learn more about this woman. And then I reached out to her. I checked out her website. We had this amazing phone conversation. I've been working with her now for several weeks. And she doesn't call it a time audit, but it basically is where you write down everything that you do in the typical week. And you write down how many hours you spend on that task. Maybe it's doing the laundry. Maybe it's sleeping. Maybe it's regular work. Maybe it's taking the kids to and from school. If you spend, more than 2 minutes on it, you just write it all down. And then you write how many minutes or hours per day or per week you spend on that. You can round up. And then when you realize that the week only has, I think it's 168 hours. When you realize how many hours you think you're spending on each task and you add all of those up and you realize how many hours the week has, then you automatically start to really deprioritize the ones that you shouldn't be spending much time on. You start figuring out which ones should I outsource, which ones should I just not do, which ones should I do maybe while I'm doing something else. Like I listen to podcasts in the shower or when I'm doing something like a menial task such as folding laundry. That's the way I get that in. And you really start to understand how valuable your time is so that you're not wasting it on maybe doom scrolling Twitter or wasting a few precious moments on Facebook or Instagram. And so working with Whitney, it's just helped me figure out how do I spend my time so that I can build this life that I want. I have these other tools. This is one more tool. And she really sets it up that way. She's very practical. She's very straightforward. And she's just laying it out for you. She's already worked with so many other clients who thought that this was impossible to live that dream life because they don't have enough time or they don't have enough money or they don't have enough fill in the blank. When I started working with Whitney, the other thing she gave me, and I even got a little bit emotional, and I told her this during our first video call, that she allowed me to dream. Because when we're young, we dream, and then we have other dreams, and then we replace those with bigger dreams. But then something happens when you maybe get into the rut of working and raising kids and cooking and filling up the weekend with fun activities, and you realize, well, when do I get to that part? When do I get to that dream that I thought I had at 18 or 21 or 32? And she's allowed me to say, no, I'm still going to pursue this dream. Let me repicture what it looks like and figure out a logical way to get there.
I love that. I'm going to have Whitney's contact info and all her links in the show notes, everybody. You saw it on the screen as well. This is what women need to do for each other too, especially, which is lift each other up. And I thank you for joining me and spotlighting this other female founder who's really serving the world with her best.
And she does it because she wants to. Like me, she wants to see women. I want to see women in these amazing dresses. She wants to see women and men figure out how to properly use their time to achieve their goals. She's already done that. She actually has her own company. She consults with other companies. She does this because it works for her and she wants other people to benefit in the same way.
I love that. Any last pieces of advice you'd like to share with our audience before we wrap up,
I
Melissa?
would say, yeah, the number one thing is plan. I wish I had planned more, planned for not maybe pandemics, because that's not usually on your radar when you're putting together your business model, but plan as much as you can in terms of marketing and branding, and try to figure that out so that you can take the right choices and reach out to the right people. And then the next thing is actually related to that outreach, is get out there and email people and tweet and DM people, because you'll be surprised how many people are actually willing to help. Like Allison, for example. There are plenty of people that, even though they've achieved major things in their life, they're still happy to talk to regular folks who are just saying, hey, I just want to ask this one thing. Could you help me with this one thing? Or could you put me in contact with this one person? I think that's invaluable, to put yourself out there and know that you're someone who's ready to receive that sort of advice.
Thank you so much for that. I just want to take another look at these beautiful, gorgeous dresses. Everybody, please visit pirouettenyc.com. Check out these dresses and follow Melissa everywhere. She glows. Oh my gosh. I'll have all her links in the show notes: Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. Of course, connect with her on LinkedIn. Show that, female founder sisterhood, and, lift another goddess up. And you can count on the fact that she'll be lifting you up. I mean, you heard her talk about Whitney, you heard her talk about Allison. You get on her radar, you've got it made. Thank you so much for joining me and for joining the Startup Life community and sharing your fabulous startup stories. I have to tell you, I learned a lot, and you shared some really important key pieces for building a fashion business, and that to me is so important. And also some key takeaways any founder can use for their pricing and their development and their marketing of their business, as well as who they be as a founder during all of it. Thank you so much, Melissa.
Thank you, Ande. I love your show, and I hope we can help other people learn about your episodes.
That is great. And viewers, oh my gosh, I am so grateful you tuned in, that you carved out time. I know how difficult it is to find that time. Maybe you're folding laundry, like Melissa said, when she listens to podcasts, or you're in the shower, or whatever you're doing. I am so thrilled that you took out time to understand your business and understand your own founder journey more. And for those of you, have you had any questions? Let's keep the conversation going. You can pop your questions into the comment thread or email Melissa or myself. We'd be happy to answer those questions for you. And for those of you who are watching the replay, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. It'd mean the world to me. Thank you. I interview phenomenal founders twice a week. So lots of great information always coming your way. And I want to remind you that you do not need to struggle alone. I mean, this is a tough journey that you're on. And I think that, a little help can go a long way. And here's how I help founders: pitch deck reviews, 2-hour strategy sessions, 2-hour funding strategy sessions, on-demand founder coaching, WeBank applications for you female founders. I have helped dozens, I may be going into the hundreds at this point, female founders fill out that very complicated certification that gets them into large corporate and government contracts. Okay, so I just want to put that out there. Feel free to, here we go, grab that slide, Ande, book a free 15-minute conversation with me. Here is the link, andelyons.as.me, and we can learn more about each other. I know I would love to learn more about you and your business. I have a meetup group, and this is where folks stay connected and learn every time I post a new show. So if you hop on over there, go to bit.ly/Startup Life Live in all caps. You can join that group, and that way you'll be notified every time I have a new show, which is on Tuesdays and Fridays, usually at 1 p.m., unless I'm interviewing someone from Europe, Africa, overseas in another country. Next show, oh my gosh, look who we have coming up. I spoke about Oliver Sanchez, managing partner at Accel Hub. and he is supporting Latinx tech startups. He is a beloved founder here in Boston. I hope you can come join us and ask him questions, because we'll be talking about everything, not just the challenges of coming in as a Latin American company and trying to expand in the US, but the challenges that our Latinx companies face here in the States in raising money. And this Oliver is an angel investor, so I know you've got some great questions for him. So please come join us on October 16, 1 p.m. EST for a delicious conversation. You will learn so much. Oh my gosh, I love this time with you live and via replay. Truly grateful that you tuned in. And please know, I believe in you. Stay focused, stay strong, and just remember, right up in here and down in here, you've got this. Cheers, everyone.